Alright, fellas, we are in that awkward period in between the release of major updates and DLCs. I know we're getting the Crucible map pack tomorrow or today, depends on when I upload this video. You will see the map pack is coming on the 7th of May. I don't know if this is going up on the 6th or the 7th. However, because we are in that awkward period in between major updates and DLC, the meta tends to get a little bit stale. We just got the release of the brand new Brave Armory weapons. Some of them live up to expectations. Other of them, not so much. It really just depends on your input. Gonna go over all the Brave weapons as soon as I get the rolls I want to test. In any case, we're back to that stagnant period. Hand cannons are now back in the meta with Luna's Howl, Rose, Ace of Spades, Luna's Howl again, Thorn, Ignis Hammer, Hawkmoon, Last Word, Crimson, the most used weapons in Crucible currently that aren't special weapons are all hand cannons, and because of that, things do tend to get a little bit stale. You have your mixed in Summoner, Unending Tempest, some people still coping using Amit or Prosecutor, but we've shifted back into that hand cannon meta that for some was really annoying and for some was really productive. And because me, I'm stuck in my wicked ways, I refuse to use any weapon that doesn't rhyme with a Murderous Muss-Mun, so because of this, I have to switch up my build consistently and constantly and practice using bad exotics so that I, as a player, can get better. Let me explain to you my theory. Just like Larry Bird in his legendary left-hand game, occasionally you do have to handicap yourself so that your skills can actually better. And for me, I'm already playing at a severe handicap using Cerberus +1. So, my handicap in this instance is switching my build to exotics that I normally never use and the community typically considers to be bad. Because, chat, normally I am a hard crutch abuser of the 6 Coyote plus the Threaded Spectre Strand meta. I'm still stuck in that mindset. I love playing like that, but you do have to do something different, and because I am a hunter mate, I can't play the same thing all the time. So, on this episode of using bad exotics, I've decided to feature Lucky Raspberry. Why? Because I got a roll that I thought was good. Lucky Raspberry, for those of you young bloods who do not know, this thing was okay for around 2.5 months, and nobody has heard from this since basically year 1. The important part is damaging enemies with Jolt Lightning Strikes and collecting Ionic Traces. You're getting additional Arc Bolt Grenade energy every single time you do a Jolt or get an Ionic Trace, which the Arc Strider is naturally very good at doing. Now, for this build in particular, the only 2 fragments that really matter are Spark of Shock and Spark of Focus, because Spark of Focus, you're sprinting, you're getting your dodge back. The dodge that we're using today is Gambler's Dodge. We're using Gambler's Dodge because we're combining it with the Tempest Strike. Being able to spam the Tempest Strike, which normally has a 3-minute cooldown, you can effectively turn it into a 40-second cooldown, really a 30-second cooldown if you're dodging near people. You use your Tempest Strike to get the Jolt plus that additional damage to people. You can detonate them very, very easy with Combination Blow. We like to use Combination Blow over Disorienting Blow just because at base it has a shorter cooldown, so everything will cool down quicker. That and Flow State, defeating a jolted target, makes you amplified. This all stacks very nicely in and upon itself, but being able to use your Arc Bolt Grenades to jolt people, you detonate your jolt, which means you get more energy, your arc kills turn into Ionic Traces, and essentially everything loops into itself very, very nicely. Now, for the final 2 fragments, what I used most of the time was Spark of Ions plus Spark of Feedback. Spark of Feedback really was just turning your melee into a better version of itself. You take a melee, you give a melee. It was never enough to one-shot anybody, but pretend that Pesky Titan was able to run you down and get the first melee off. As you get a single shot off, you should be able to get a kill, maybe 8 times out of 10. It depends on how much base resilience they have. Additionally, you can also use something like Spark of Haste if you do not have maxed out mobility, resilience, recovery, discipline. You're going to want to run Spark of Haste sometimes, but in my case, I run nearly max resilience and max mobility all the time, and the additional recovery for me doesn't seem to matter that much. But being able to generate the Ionic Trace upon defeating an Ionic target is spectacular because you're getting the Ionic Trace, you're turning into more energy, plus it's also the Jolt lightning damage that's getting you more energy. It combos into itself very nice. This is basically the only Arc Grenade build that is going to work on Hunter in this case with this exotic because we have to use the Arc Bolt Grenade, and it is not the best in the world. We're going to go over the builds, of course, Cerberus +1, and your choice of Arc Secondary. I used Found Verdict sometimes, I used Prodigal Return sometimes. It didn't really matter. I do not like to crutch the special weapon where I do not have to, considering that the point of the build is to make sure that my gameplay skills are better by using bad exotics, basically. So, let's get back into things. My initial impression of this build while using this build is that arc bolts are really not cut out for much more than trolling, and because of that you have to play a sort of passive gameplay that most players do not enjoy. You know, ego challenging, being up close and personal makes sense, but you want to play around your arc bolt grenades, and your arc bolt grenades really aren't doing much work in the first place. It's good for priming. It's good for priming. If you can hit one person with one track, you can confirm kills really easily. Cerberus is very, very good at proccing Jolt because you do the 3 to 4 instances of damage, so you're taking people down very, very effectively. It's a good little combination. However, I certainly wouldn't say that it's the best or even desirable in that matter. And because I love yapping, I'm just going to tell you, do I feel that I got better while using this? Well, not really. It reinforced a current playstyle with the Cerberus +1 that I was already used to, because putting yourself at such a disadvantage that now that I didn't have my favorite crutch in the Threadling / Threaded Spectre, it was a little bit more difficult to play around. You know, I was a lot more patient than I used to, and it definitely reflected in my KD, hitting KDs that I haven't hit in quite a long time. But I don't put that down to the exotic being good or bad. I really say that's just because it forced me to change my playstyle. Arc Hunter, however, is a little bit better than I give it credit for. I usually am not a Arc Hunter first kind of player. I much prefer to use Void or even Solar Hunter when playing in the Crucible. Arc doesn't have a whole lot of uses on Hunter, in my humble opinion. I think it's one of the worst subclasses in the game, with the exception of Void, Warlock, and Crucible. It certainly is up there with my least favorite classes, but it is fun to throw on something you don't use every once in a while for the purpose of improving your skills. Because I was playing in a foreign environment with a foreign tool set, I feel like this made me better. A little bit better. It's practice, I should say. So, besides that, I really have no other thoughts. I'm going to leave the commentary here. If you want to watch till the end of the video, I do appreciate that. It's basically just clips and highlights from my games with a little bit of a treat at the end for those of you who want to hear me slander Gathering Storm. Anyway, I want to thank each and every single one of you for watching. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. You know, make something good out of this. Help someone. Make something that you're proud of. And besides that, have a great day.
Zone B captured. You have the advantage. Press on. Opponent claimed Zone A. Their death will be swift. Zone C lost. You captured Zone A. Zone advantage is yours. Three minutes remain. Keep the pressure and you have them. Victory is yours for the taking. Seize it.
I didn't get a single point after that.
How did I hit it? That's actually crazy. I gotta look at the recording on that. I actually hit him for 209 damage with Gathering Storm. 209. Do you know how much HP people have nowadays?
230.
230. Ridiculous.